Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday from Arni's. Happy birthday to you. Woo!
It's a happy day. It's a happy Wednesday, October 27th. It's a happy day for David Nugent, who turns 44 today. And Purdue fans that know Purdue football know of David, who played a big role on some of Joe Tiller's first teams and was recruited by Jim Coletto's staff, if my memory is correct. Played at Purdue from 1996 to 99. Lives in the Memphis area now. First of all, David, happy birthday. I mean, it's you're a young man, but it's all a good day when you get to celebrate the birthday.
Well, I appreciate that. It's a good start to the birthday, going down memory lane with you, so I appreciate it.
Tell us about, I was always interested. Purdue's not had all that many players from the Memphis area over the years, and you came in as a tight end. And I, everybody talks about Matt Light transforming to from the defensive side from tight end, to left tackle. Tell us about how your transformation went in your playing days at Purdue.
Yeah, so I also came in with Matt Light. We were both tight ends at the time, and he was very athletic, and I believe he played our freshman year as tight end. Yeah. I remember he caught a pass against Michigan, and then going into that season, they thought that I better be suited as a lineman. So I kind of ate my way onto the line, ate some healthy meals, and gained some weight. Matt Light did as well, and the next year, he went to offensive tackle. I stepped into defensive tackle, and it was a good fit for both of us.
Did you get was that something that came about when Joe Tiller and his staff came? Was that when that move was made, or was that already in process prior to that transition from Jim Coletto to Joe Tiller?
Well, in training camp, they ran me at tight end. I mean, I remember specifically doing I was on offense, and then about halfway through training camp, they said, you know what, I think you might be better suited on defense. Now, I don't know, it's because I couldn't catch the ball. I don't know what it was. But they switched me to defensive end, and it just worked out. And then eventually I just kept bulking up so much that they moved me inside at defensive tackle.
Yeah. And Tiller and company and staff had a that was one of the best things they did, was able to put guys in right places and places to be successful. And obviously you had that opportunity to have that success as a player and playing a lot. From 1997 to 99, certainly. All right, Ted, we always ask on birthdays what that tradition is. Did you have one growing up? Is there something that's going to be in your personal life today that you're going to, whether it's dinner or a special celebration? Tell me a little bit about that and what's going on in your life growing up or in modern times on your birthday.
Yeah, so I got 3 little kids now, so anytime we get a chance to get out for dinner, me and my wife are going to go to dinner tonight, just enjoy some quiet time, some conversation. It comes few and far between these days. And then I think we're going to catch a concert later tonight and just have a nice night together.
Oh, awesome. And when you also have had a professional career after playing in the NFL for a while, you've gone into sales. Tell us about that. And you've had several opportunities and have gone and done well in that as well. Tell us about how that's all transpired during your time in the Memphis area.
Yeah, when I was done, my major was exercise physiology. Yeah. And when I was done playing football, I'm like, what can I do? What suits an athlete that's inherently competitive, that has a lot of drive. And I talked to a lot of other former athletes that happen to be medical sales reps, and they're like, you would love this because it's all about competition. It's all about hustle. So I interviewed for every medical device company there was, and everybody told me the same thing. You got to get experience. So I started with this very small company and just kind of worked my way up. And then 17 years later, it's been a wonderful career. It's been very fulfilling, and it continues to feed that competitive drive that we have.
What makes it competitive? I mean, just from a sales standpoint, you're competing against to get the next opportunity. What is specifically how does that feed that competitive drive?
Well, in athletics, you savor those one-on-one matchups. Yeah. And in sales, it really comes down to that. It's one-on-one. It's you versus the other guy or the other girl, and who's going to come out on top. And that's just something I enjoy. I enjoy getting up earlier than maybe my
Yeah.
competition does, getting a head start on the day. And, at the end of the day, sales, makes the world run, and products need to be moved. And it's been a blessing to be a part of that.
When you look at you also from a training standpoint, now I'm looking at you at Zoom, but it looks like you have kept yourself fit. And that's been and when you bulk up and gain a lot of weight, play at close to 300 pounds, that was a process after your playing days were over. What do you do from an exercise regimen, or what keeps you healthy and happy?
Yeah, I'll tell you, once I got done playing, I could not wait to get the weight off because, I really always had to force myself to eat that much food, to take in enough calories to be that size. So it came off pretty quick. I mean, I think I lost 50 pounds, within a few months, pretty quickly. And then, once you start getting into it, it just becomes something, it's a part of your routine. You look forward to it. You get that natural high from a run or a jog outside. Yeah. So it's something that I try to stay on top of and be consistent with.
Purdue is obviously, in your playing days, you had some magical moments, none more than the 97 season, but you also, the 98 season, you end up winning the Alamo Bowl. You won 2 Alamo Bowls. But what's your takeaway from your Purdue game experience and learning from 2 different coaching staffs to what did that teach you from your professional and personal life?
Yeah, coming in, new to the program, you've got the staff that recruits you. And then a year later, they're all gone, and you've got this brand new staff. And there's a lot of anxiety associated with that. We didn't know what the staff was going to be like. But when Tiller and his staff came in, they brought so much energy and so much fire and passion and made the practices fun. They made them competitive and really lit a spark under us. And practices were really intense. Sometimes the offense didn't like the defense, too much, and we got a little rowdy, but that all made us closer as a team. And, I remember that first game in 97, I believe we played Toledo.
Right.
Wasn't the best start. I think we lost that game. And then I want to say our next game was against Notre Dame.
Right.
And I'll never forget, we used to have the tradition of walking from the Union Hotel to the stadium before the game as a team. And I'll never forget walking that morning and hearing our own fans saying, "It's going to be okay, guys. It'll be over soon," on our way to that game. And I remember just taking that really personally, like, how can they say that? Do they really think we're going to lose this game? And that was the game that turned around the program. That was the game that we won against Notre Dame and lit the fire with Boilermaker Nation. And that was a special season because it's like the energy throughout the campus was different. It was special. Yeah. Something was brewing. And that's where it all began.
Yeah, you played with some really talented, you look at Purdue's defensive line, many of you played in the league, Rosevelt Colvin, Chike, Okeafor, yourself. Talk about those guys and that formidable bunch. One of the best performances really maybe in Purdue, certainly in Purdue bowl game history, was your game against Kansas State in 98. You guys just dominated the line of scrimmage against the 4th ranked team. What was it like to play with those guys, and how did you guys come together as a unit?
It was special. I mean, up until that point, and really even after, I had never seen athletes like those guys. I'd never seen a guy like a Rosevelt Colvin or a Chike Okeafor, or Matt Mitrione, Chike Naworki. I mean, those guys were special, and we were just a special unit. We all worked very well together. Rosevelt was a great leader on that defense. Yeah. And, I know going into that 98 Alamo, we heard a couple clips on the, Sports Center about how this is going to be ugly for the Patriots going against Kansas State. And I remember they replayed that, in our team meetings, and Rosevelt specifically took that really personal. And we all know what kind of game he had that game. Yeah. But it was such a special game, such a special moment for the history of Purdue football, how it all ended. It's such a blessing to be a part of Purdue in that moment, in that era.
Now, my memory, and I apologize for not. Did you score a touchdown? Did you recover a fumble in the end zone? Right. So was that your first and only college touchdown, if I recall?
So one of my favorite memories was, yes, I scored a touchdown in the Alamo Bowl.
That's what I thought.
Chike hit the running back. The ball came loose. I dove on it in the end zone. The first thing the announcer says is David Nugget. David Nugget scores.
That's right.
I'll never forget that. Yeah. But that was a great moment. But no, to answer your question, I actually had a second touchdown against Michigan State my senior year. Coach Emmanuel always ran this drill in practice called scoop and score. He's like, you never know when your moment's going to come, when that ball's going to come loose.
Yeah.
And on the 12-yard line, Aiken hit the quarterback, ball came loose. I picked it up, ran in the end zone. One of my best memories. The whole defense piled on top of me in the end zone. We knocked off a very highly ranked Michigan State team.
I'd forgotten about that. That's right, because in that 52, they were the 5th ranked Michigan State team. You beat them soundly. Head coach by the name of Nick Saban. Also,
right.
Now, did you from that standpoint, that is a great memory. You also had a chance in your pro career to play with the Patriots and talk about that organization and obviously the success it enjoyed for all those years. But what did you learn from an organizational standpoint? Things that you've taken from that experience that really have kind of formed a little bit about how you act in your business and personal life.
Yeah, when I got to the Patriots and we were in training camp, I remember specifically Scott Pioli, the player personnel director, came up to me and pulled me aside, and he's like, I just want to give you credit. He's like, you're a lot more conditioned than a lot of these guys. What's going on there? And I had to brag on Purdue. I'm like, it comes from Purdue. We took it seriously at Purdue in our conditioning and keeping on top of that. But at the Patriots, it was all business, and they expected you to come in like that.
Yeah.
In that first year, everybody's kind of feeling each other out. But that next year was the magical season. And I was very fortunate because, my roommate when I was at the Patriots was my fellow 6th-round draft pick, Tom Brady. So we lived together for about 3 years. So I got to see.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got to see, every single night our rookie year, he was down in the basement watching film, preparing like he was the starting quarterback, but he was 4th string.
Yeah.
But his consistency and his preparation never changed from when he was 4th string to our Super Bowl MVP the very next year. So it was neat to be a part of watching that transition and watching him become the leader of that team.
Yeah, you still get a chance to stay in some level of contact these days. I know he's a busy man and you're a busy man, but you have that opportunity to stay in contact with Tom?
Yeah, I saw him about 4 years ago. I went to a game and we kind of hung out after the game. And then, he sent me a present for my 40th birthday. I did the same thing. So like you said, we're both very busy, but it's neat to have these little touches every once in a while.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, last question. How does a guy from Memphis, the Memphis area, get to Purdue? I know that it'll be my second to last question. I want to ask you one other question about Purdue, this year's team, but tell me about how that happened. Who recruited you and how you got up here?
Yeah, it's really serendipitous because we had a really good running back at my high school. His name was Cullen Bryant. His dad played in the NFL, Cullen Bryant Sr. So he had all kinds of big name colleges coming to watch him all the time. Well, I really was fortunate with that because they'd also happen to see me running around on the field as well when they were there. So a lot of the attention that he got, I also got as well. So it's funny because Purdue at that time had a great running back in Mike Allstott who was leaving. They were looking to fill that spot and fill it with another big running back. Well, Cullen Bryant was a big running back. So Purdue started knocking on his door. So when they came in town, they also knocked on my door. And it was specifically Randy Finkner, who was a great recruiting coach. He was the wide receivers coach. I think he's with the Steelers now.
Still is,
yeah. And, he would come to my basketball games. And for whatever reason, he'd have Isaac Bruce, the great wide receiver at Los Angeles or St. Louis, come to my games as well. And then the great Leroy Keys would come over to the house and sit in our living room. And we were just so impressed by them. And then all it took was the visit and walking on the campus and just, breathing in that cold fall, winter air. And I was in love with it.
All right. The last question on when's the last time you've been to a game up here? And of course, nobody went to any games last year, but, and how much you get a chance to follow your Boilermakers as they continue to traverse the 2021 season?
It's been quite a while since I'll take that back. It was the Alamo Bowl reunion. I think it was the 20-year reunion, maybe, of the Alamo Bowl.
18,
18. Yep. So that was the last game. And then they had something in the spring where they had all the Super Bowl winners that had played for Purdue come back and had some recognition. So it was neat to be a part of that.
Yeah. And you get a chance to watch them now. What do you think? They're 4-3. They still have opportunities in front of them. They got to go to Nebraska this week. They had a great win at Iowa. Then they didn't have as good a game last week. What are you seeing from this year's team from what you've been able to watch?
Well, I think it's all about potential, and they showed they had a lot of potential against Iowa. So, they can turn it around easily and finish the season strong. So I think there's a lot of potential over there, and I love what the coaching staff's doing with that program.
All right, David. Hey, have a great birthday. Enjoy your family. Enjoy your quiet evening and concert tonight as well. And we appreciate you taking the time to do this Arni's birthday Zoom. So have a great rest of the day.
Thank you. My pleasure.